Well, hello, my fellow friends, my fellow neighbors, and my fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, episode number 121, our 121st trolley stop here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, continuing the 7-year anniversary celebration of Empowered Publicity. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager here at Empowered Publicity. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, wherever you are and wherever you may be. There's so much excitement in the air. We're still enjoying this summer season. Sooner than we know it, our little ones are going to be heading back to school as well, too. And there's just so much good stuff in the flow. There's so many wonderful things that we've had the blessing of sharing over the course of these past several weeks during the 7-year anniversary celebration of Empowered Publicity. And it really is about relationships. It really is about the people that we've been blessed to help and support. So as we always like to say here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, we want to thank all of you for what it is that you are doing to reparent your inner child. And of course, everything that you're doing for children's authors and illustrators around the world, for the wonderful support that you're sharing for each and every one of them. But above all else, as we always like to say as well, too, we want to thank you for helping to walk home the children of the world. One of our favorite neighbors we've had the blessing of getting to know, to help, to support, and to be of service to is doing such a tremendous job inspiring children all around the world, and children's authors and illustrators as well, too. And it's interesting because, you know, when we talk about the 7-year anniversary of Empowered Publicity, we always got to start somewhere. And I remember 7 years ago in July of 2014, and I said, I really want to be able to help and inspire and support and be of service to inspirational, to spiritual, and to children's authors. But I necessarily didn't know where to begin. But I said, you know what? The intention is pure, my heart is open, and so many wonderful blessings have happened since that particular point in time. So leave it to a brand new children's book to kind of help mirror that for all of us as of right now. But we're not only going to be talking about one children's book. We're not only going to be talking about 2 children's books. We're not even just going to be talking about 3 children's books. There is nearly a dozen children's books from our featured guest here on episode number 121 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. You can head on over to his official website, kamulenga.com. You can purchase your copies of KA's 3 brand new children's books, Elaine the Elephant, Chuck the Cheetah, and Will and His Best Friend Whale, in addition to any of his other children's books, which are available in ebook format and softcover format as well. You can also head on over to Amazon if that is your preferred online vehicle of choice, and you can leave a 5-star review for Elaine the Elephant, for Chuck the Cheetah, for Will and His Best Friend Whale, or for any of the other children's books from our featured guest here on this week's episode of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. The trolley goes all the way from San Diego, California, back over to South Africa for the second time in the 3-year history of this very program. Children's author K.A. Mulenga is joining us here. K.A., we really appreciate your free time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you're having a wonderful start to your summer as well, too.
Thanks so much for having me, John. I'm on the other side of the world, so it's actually winter here. As you can see, I'm even in my beanie.
I was just going to say, you know, otherwise you're rocking the beanie during the summertime, which is possible, but it is winter. So this is, but the great thing is that we're still connected. Our hearts are open. We're sharing so many wonderful things. I already feel like my heart's opening up even more. We hope that yours is as well, too. In the process, if this message is inspiring you, if it's lifting your spirits, if it's opening up your heart, if you feel that this message needs to be shared with someone in need, the message of Mulenga's children's books, which we're going to be talking about, there's so many different life lessons in all of his children's books. We encourage you to subscribe to Empowered Publicity's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that you are now watching on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing. Okay, I find your story fascinating because you are an accountant on your end of things. And, you know, some people may look and say, well, it's just crunching numbers and things of that nature. You know, some people may say like, man, like, how much creativity can there be in accounting kind of thing. You're doing such an amazing job, and you've got such a fascinating backstory as well, too, inspired by your father, who dove into the world of writing as well, too. For those who are learning a little bit about you for the first time here through this episode of the Children's Book Spotlight series, could you share this a little bit about your journey to becoming a children's author, and really what inspired you, what helped you to open up your heart to do this wonderful work for the children that you're doing right now?
Yeah, John. Yeah, like you mentioned, I am an accountant. I've been running my own practice for about 10, 15 years now. But my late father was a journalist, and he was the first black editor of what they call the Zambia Daily Mail. I'm originally from Zambia, and I relocated to South Africa in 1999. But I was born and raised in Zambia. And yeah, my late father was a profound journalist, and he also had a couple of books published. My late brother was also a poet, and we were just avid readers in the house. I remember winning two children's books competitions when I was still at school, and my prize was a subscription to the Puffin Book Club, which just made me read more and more and more. But unfortunately, everything fell away after I finished my high school, and I went to college, and I studied accounting, because back in the day when our parents told us, my mom told me, "You're studying accounting." We had no choice, and yeah, I just went with it. But at the back of my mind, I guess it was just waiting for a light bulb moment to happen, and that happened when we were on our way home from church with my family, and my son mentioned that he was having a writing competition at school, and I told them that, guys, I used to write books when I was your age. My son's name is Mulenga Jr., and they all laughed at me in the car and said, "Oh yeah, well, Dad's at it again." And I said, "Okay, I'll prove it to you. I'm going to start writing books." And yeah, the first book I wrote was Duncan, the Stubborn Donkeys, which I actually wrote when I was a child. It just all came back to me. And eventually, yeah, the manuscripts were just rolling out. And yeah, here we are now.
I really love your work on several different levels, because you have so many different stories to share. And I think that this is great, because when I first learned about your work, sometimes when a children's author just has one book, right, or even two books, let's say a little one may not find a resonance to it. There's so many books. It's kind of like what I like to call a really good problem to have, right? It's like if you have so many children's books, it provides so much opportunity, because you're reaching children, you're reaching parents, you're reaching families, you're reaching educators, and as we like to say here in the Children's Book Spotlight series, those who love great children's books. We all have the inner child within us. Could you talk to us as well about the process of when you said, okay, you know what, all right, I'm doing this accounting thing, but I want to be able to do this children's book work. Whenever we're learning something new, there's challenges, difficulties, obstacles. They kind of mean the same thing, but they have a few different words for them, so to speak. And I think that you're really helping, especially aspiring and rising children's authors right now, to say, wow, okay, well, Mulenga started off as an accountant, and he's written over 9+ books. I believe it's close to 12, or at 12 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Around 11, yeah.
Could you share with us, with our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, what were some of the challenges and difficulties that you experienced early on in your writing journey? And what were some of the things that helped you from where you were? Because you had to start somewhere, just like Elaine the Elephant had to be able to start somewhere, right? What were some of the things that helped you to get through to the other side of those challenges and difficulties? If you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, John, it's been a bumpy road. Obviously, the writing is the easy part, because, like I said, the ideas just flow. I'm what they call a prolific writer. At one point I wrote 4 books in one day. So the type of, I actually have, I just didn't mention it in my bio. I actually have about 50 manuscripts at the moment, but obviously to get them self-published needs funding. So that's the main thing that was the obstacle. Um, I just thought, okay, I've got this excellent product now. All I need to do is just get someone to publish it, and yeah, books will be in all the bookstores, and yeah, it will be all hunky dory. But I soon realized after doing my research that it wasn't. It's easier said than done. I sent out my manuscripts to all the traditional publishers. That's what I learned along the way, that there's two types of publishing: traditional and self-publishing.
Correct.
I tried to go the traditional publishing route, and I didn't get any feedback. So while I was doing that, and because the feedback also takes so long, I was doing more research, and I discovered about the self-publishing. And then I discovered that with self-publishing, you do need to fund the thing yourself, but you have control over everything, which is a plus. And the challenges are obviously where to start from. But you see, with me, the type of person I am is, once I get focused on a project, oh, there's no stopping me. I just go all out until I achieve it. And yeah, so basically, it was looking for an illustrator, it was looking for an editor, and all these people, I had no idea. I mean, I was an accountant dealing with tax and stuff like that. So everything was all about research. And I mean, even winding up with meeting you was also through, yeah, through the social media. And yeah, I just want to thank you also for all the avenues and possibilities that you've opened up for me as well.
It's, again, looking back on 7 years of being a publicist for Children's Office, Kling, as we started off our conversation, it really is about the relationships. It really is also about the relationship that not only you have with other people, but the relationship that you have with yourself. Because, especially as children and even as adults, right, we have our own insecurities. And, all of your books, one of the many things that I love is it talks about the life lessons. And there's times when it comes to our emotions and feelings, that's where we can have some of our biggest insecurities, right? Whether it be doubt or fear, those are the, two of some of the biggest ones. One of the things that I find really cool is the fact that your children have been inspiring and fueling your work. A lot of the times when children's authors or illustrators put together books, it's kind of like you have your own editors, you have your own audience, like different your children wear different hats, so to speak. What has this process been like for you in terms of the feedback that you've heard from your children? What sort of source of inspiration have they been for you to not only continue your work, but really put your full heart and soul into it as you have been doing? What's that been like for you?
Okay, yeah, for my kids, like obviously the firstborn is 21, so she's like the mature one out of the three, but she's studying fashion design, so she's also very creative, and she comes up with ideas for me, regarding not the actual stories, but regarding like the illustrations, even though I do outsource the illustrating. And then the younger ones, my daughter who's 13 and my son is 11, especially the 11-year-old, my son, because he is such a competitive child. He's a soccer player, and yeah, he loves soccer. So he's one of those who hates losing. And that's where I got the inspiration for Chuck the Cheetah. I've got another book about soccer, which I did write, but it's about a girl playing soccer called Susie Strickland, Sizzling Striker. That one is about being a team player because, my son always wants to be the top scorer and stuff like that. So he's my inspiration, and my daughter is also my inspiration when it comes to just other life lessons, like with Elaine. That was inspired by my daughter because she sometimes finds things it takes time for her to grasp things, and that's the lesson from Elaine, that if at first you don't succeed, try again. And yeah, so she was another inspiration there. So yeah, I think that's about it.
There is so much that we're still going to be talking about here in episode number 121 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We're just beginning with our featured guest, best-selling children's author K.A. Mulenga, joining us all the way from South Africa. You can head on over to his official website, kamulenga.com. You can purchase your copies of Chuck the Cheetah, Elaine the Elephant, Will and His Best Friend Will, in addition to the rest of Kalenga's children's book collection. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of choice. One of the many ways that you can support Kalenga and the great work that he's doing for children, parents, families, educators all around the world is to leave a 5-star review, whether it be if you enjoy the book via the ebook variety or the softcover variety in the process, because this, again, it just helps Kalenga. We're all just reminding him that he's doing such a great job. Having the opportunities to just dive into all of your books has been amazing, because again, there's just so much to talk about. I really love Chuck the Cheetah. And for all of our listeners and viewers, by the way, if you want to learn a little bit even more about Chuck the Cheetah and Will and His Best Friend Whale, we have in the description below not only KA's official social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but you can check out the brand new segment of Empowering Reads for Kids with myself and Laura Kavanaugh on the CW San Diego CBS 8, where we dive into the pages of Chuck the Cheetah and Will and His Best Friend Whale. That was such a cool experience putting that together as well, KA. Chuck the Cheetah is this great story because, you know, we all want to win. We all want to win at everything, right? But there's a reason. It's interesting. You know, the Summer Olympics are upcoming, right? You've got gold for first place, you got silver for second place, and you got bronze for third place. I always thought, Kalenga, you know, one of my favorite colors is turquoise. And growing up, I said they should make a fourth place medal, right? Like, what about all those people that are in fourth place? Like, they don't get nothing, right? Give them a turquoise medal kind of thing, right? Again, the life lessons. In fact, even before we talk a little bit about Chuck the Cheetah, why is it paramount to you as a children's author and a parent? Because, you know, children's books can talk about anything. You know, I mean, I've seen children's books that have talked about, you know, wiping your posterior. I've seen children's books that kind of talk about different sorts of things that are not necessarily affirming, that they're not life lessons. Why is this paramount to you as a children's author and as a parent to have your books have substance and depth and really help children, especially in their growth and development emotionally?
Yeah, you know, John, we can only do so much as children's authors and as parents, but the best thing is to try. You know, what I did is when I've done some book readings here before we got into our third wave, so I could go out to the schools and I read to the kids, and you could tell that from the books they were really grasping what the book was trying to say. And you ask them the questions, did you learn any of this? And all of them just are so willing to you know, to give feedback. And when they go home, they obviously tell them, their mom and their dad, that, oh, I read this book about this. And that's just helping out the parents. Obviously, as parents, we do teach our children in certain ways, but the books are just what should I call the seasoning, if you want, salt and pepper to the main dish. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to achieve, because parenting is tough and we need all the help we can get, and I'm just trying to help out in that way.
I got to also mention too, you know, you talk about, you know, all the help that we can get, you know, during the pandemic, during COVID, parents and educators were stretched to the max kind of thing. And I think that one of the really cool things about children's books is that they provide a lot of engagement for the kids. You know, one of the many silver linings from COVID and the pandemic, and there were several, is that children were reading more, right? Yeah. So I really love with Chuck the Cheetah that there's coloring pages at the end of the book, because it's very easy to, like, you know, read a book to your son or your daughter, or to a little one if you happen to be a caregiver or a custodian of a child. You can just read the book to them, put it back in the shelf, put it back in the library, and that's that. But there's different ways that you interact with your audience, when you interact with the little ones. Could you share with us a little bit more about Chuck the Cheetah? Because, you know, one of the things is that, you know, with this program nearly celebrating its 3-year anniversary this fall, I love talking about the books, but I really think that you can encapsulate the messages of your books even better than I can. So could you take us inside the pages of Chuck the Cheetah and some of the specific life lessons that people who are learning about your work for the first time and purchase their copy of Chuck the Cheetah that they can learn when they read this book?
Okay, so basically, Chuck the Cheetah was, like I said, it was inspired by my son, who just wants to win. He's what you call a sore loser. But because of this book, it even helped him out, and I could see a change as well in him. But getting back to the book, it's about Chuck, who is the fastest cheetah basically in the land. He beats everyone, and his motto, which he sings to everybody, is all I do is win, 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 win. I never lose. Now that is arrogance at its best, and it's teaching us that you will not always win at everything. The life will always throw you curveballs, and that's what happened to Chuck. Something happened to something happened to him, and he ended up not winning. And because of being a sore loser, he still didn't accept defeat, and he just said, no, this wasn't right. Something happened. I'm still the best. And that made him lose friends, until eventually he got some good advice. I don't want to spoil everything for everybody, but he did get some good advice. And at the end of the day, he learned that you don't always win at everything. You win some and you lose some, no matter how good you are.
One of the things that I learned through reading your books is to not give away any of the story secrets, as you like to classify it as, right? And I think that this is also one of the amazing things that is just so wonderful about children's books is that, you can give a little snapshot and really, give a little glimmer, so to speak. But like one of the best feelings, and this is what I am excited about. I know that in South Africa, you guys are going through the third wave of COVID with the pandemic. We're almost at this point, Mulenga. I really believe this, that, we're all going to be gathering together again. It's starting to in certain instances, right? And as you said, you've had the experience of already reading your books to children. The virtual thing's been great. Like we've been doing this virtual thing with the Children's Book Spotlight series, even before COVID and the pandemic. But there's no better feeling. There's no better exchange than being with the little ones. So I'm really looking forward to seeing their thoughts even more on Chuck the Cheetah and Will and His Best Friend Whale and Elaine the Elephant. Will and His Best Friend Whale. Let's talk about that. Most children's books, you got dogs, you got cats. I mean, how many children's books are about whales, first of all? Whales are like super awesome, right? One of my favorite emojis, like we all love emojis, right? Raise your hand if you like emojis, right? But there's two different kinds of whale emojis. There's the whale, and then there's the whale with the water going through his blowhole kind of thing, which I found like awesome, right? The book talks about not only several different life lessons, but it also talks about, the importance of taking care of our environment as well, too. And Will develops really this amazing bond with a whale. Again, you really just don't see that every day. Walk us through the process of putting together Will and His Best Friend Whale, and what are some of the specific messages and life lessons that readers will enjoy when they read Will and His Best Friend Whale one time or many times after that?
Okay, Will and His Best Friend Whale was another one of the books that I wrote when I was very young. At that time, the plastic pollution situation was not what it is today, but it was just starting out. So it's a book I wrote, and it's one of the books I wrote, one of the books I won an award for when I was, I can't remember the exact age, but I think I should have been 10 or 11. So I just recreated it when I started writing my children's books last year. And basically it's about a boy who has a best friend as a whale, because all the boys in the town are naughty boys, and they're bullies, and they tease him, and so he finds solace at the harbor with Whale. It's about him not really taking the teasing to heart, because he knows he's got a good friend in Whale. But unfortunately, due to the plastic pollution, something happens to whale. And the good thing is, even though it is kind of sad, it's kind of a sad book, it does have a happy ending. And everybody will see that it brings people together. Yeah.
And I think that's one message alone that's really needed right now, is bringing people together. We've seen so many things around the world over these past 16, 17, however many months it's been. Kind of lose track after a little bit, right? But we've seen everything from, police brutality to, COVID illnesses, COVID deaths, just different things around the world. And it's just to have messages that more unite children, that unite families, that unite just all of us as brothers and sisters with one another. Elaine the Elephant, literally just leading into the recording of this episode, I received my copy just the day before we're actually recording this episode. And I love this because, again, first of all, how many children's books are about elephants? Like, you do a really good job of, like, you've got donkeys, you've got elephants, you've got cheetahs. You just go beyond the whole traditional dog and cat kind of thing, which is great. It just really accentuates your creativity. You really give hope to readers, to children, to the child in us all who are experiencing difficulties and feelings of inadequacy. Before we touch upon that theme, could you give a little bit of a sneak peek for those who are learning again more about your work and they say, I like Chuck the Cheetah and I love Will and his best friend Whale, and they want to be able to learn more about Elaine the Elephant? Could you give us a little bit of a sneak preview what our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors will see when they enjoy their copy of Elaine the Elephant?
Okay, yeah, Elaine the Elephant is obviously about a family of elephants. Elaine, being the main character, is small for an elephant. We all know that the elephant is the largest land animal, but Elaine was smaller than her brother and sister, and obviously smaller than her mom and dad. So she used to battle to do all the things that most elephants would do. And she had a loving brother and sister who would always help out whenever she didn't manage what she had to do. But it's just a story of like I said, of never giving up, of just, if at first you don't succeed in something, just try again, and you will get it right. I think that is a motto even for adults that we can use. And I mean, I can also use it at this stage in my life with the writing and the self-publishing. There's so many mistakes that I made along the way, but I didn't give up. I know I'll still make mistakes, but I just need to learn from those and not give up and just try again.
I think that we're touching upon so many different things that really need to be shared during this particular point in time. Again, these can seem like very cliche expressions like have hope, never give up, love yourself. And those things on the surface, they can seem super easy, right? But especially as we navigate through the human experience, it can be a little bit more challenging than needs to be. But one of the really amazing things about children's books is that they really help to put things into perspective. They bring in a lot of love, a lot of healing, a lot of joy, a lot of clarity, a lot of aha moments. What would be some words of encouragement and support that you like to share, not only with children, but also us as big kids too, who are feeling inadequate? We're wondering, can we measure up? Can we do this? Can we do that? Who are experiencing some difficulties because, again, things are better than where they were, last spring kind of thing, right? We've really come so far individually and collectively. What would be some words of encouragement that you'd like to share with our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors who are experiencing difficulties in any form or any sort of feelings of inadequacy, whether it be the children out there or us as big kids, K.A.?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, especially like in this time of the pandemic, you always have to try to look on the brighter side of things. There's not always doom and gloom. There will be a lot of challenges. There will be, and that's just life, eh? Life is like that. But what I would advise is that you look on the brighter side, you look on the blessings that you do have. I mean, like I mentioned just when we started, that obviously because of the pandemic, we have, I mean, my wife and my two daughters are positive and they're self-isolating. But we have been blessed with a house big enough for my son and I to use a separate bathroom, and you know, there's a spare bedroom for me to use while I'm isolating from my wife. And if I was a type of person who would just look at the doom and gloom, it would be all about, oh no, now I have to be away from the family. Now you know, but my wife and my daughters are positive. But the thing is, the brighter side of it is that we are blessed to have a house big enough to you know, to use a separate bathroom, to have a spare room, and not to say that others don't have it, but I hope you're just trying to get my I'm just trying to get my point across, that there's always a good side, even though something bad has happened.
And I think that this is where, when it comes to the silver linings, right? Again, that can even seem like a cliche expression in itself, but there has been many during COVID. Families have been able to become closer together, right? You know, one of the things that I haven't had the blessing of being a parent just yet, but I know, like, I've seen a lot of my friends who are parents, and sometimes they're like, I want to spend more time with my kids, right? But sometimes before the pandemic, we would do everything to not spend time with our kids. You know, go out with the guys, or, you know, go out, you know, traveling, or spend more time at work. And it's like the universe just said, y'all are going to spend time together. You're going to become closer together. If you got any, you know, any insecurities or any fears or any sort of heightened emotions, you're going to work through them. You're going to work through them together. We're beginning to wind down our time with best-selling children's author K.A. Mulenga here on episode number 121 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series. You can head on over to his official website, kamulenga.com. You can also stay connected, keep this wonderful conversation going with K.A. You can follow him on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on Facebook as well. All of his official social media platforms are in the description below. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of choice. You can purchase your copy of Elaine the Elephant. Chuck the Cheetah, Will and his best friend Will. Leave a 5-star review, as that's one of the many ways that you can help and support K.A. and just encourage him to continue to do the great work that he's doing, especially for the children around the world. One of the many things that we always love sharing here in the Children's Book Spotlight series, we always like to give a little tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors, Mr. Rogers, of course, the beloved children's television host of the popular children's television program on PBS that aired for many decades, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He reminded all of us through different episodes that he did of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, through various commencement speeches and talks. And when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmys, he reminded us to think about those who helped love us into being. Those angels on our path that helped us to remember that we can do it, that we are worthy, that it's important to keep going. You've had a great support system, Kay, which I think has really helped your work flourish and grow to becoming truly one of the shining stars in the KidLit community. Who are some of the people that you would like to recognize on episode number 121 of the Children's Book Spotlight series that have helped love you into being?
Okay, definitely I'll have to start with my wife. I mean, going to her with a bombshell and saying that, okay, now I am writing, but I actually want to make a career out of it and stop the accounting. She has been with me every step of the way. My kids, obviously, who, yeah, they keep on inspiring me. And I'd also like to just thank my siblings, my elder sister Priscilla, and my other sister Bertha, and my brother Clement. The other two are in the UK at the moment, and my elder sister is in Zambia. But I also asked them on our family WhatsApp group before I started this, whether they thought it was a good idea. And they all said, go for it. And yeah, they've been with me every step of the way. Yeah, and like I said, I'd just like to thank you, John. And as well as, yeah, there's a lot of people, my editor, my illustrators, the support that I get on the Facebook groups. I think one of one of the authors who you've worked with is Stephanie Potts. She has been an inspiration to me. We've connected well with her, and I think if I've left out anyone, I just get overwhelmed sometimes. But yeah,
this is it's wonderful when I have the opportunities to do this, and it's to hold up children's books. It's not necessarily just to promote these books. You're bringing a lot of healing into the minds and the hearts and souls of children. And, you brought a lot of healing into my life, Kay, as well, too, because one of the things that I let, I'm very open in sharing this, is that, reconnecting with my inner child helped me to heal. And every time I read a brand new children's book, it helps to open up my heart further and further. It helps me to be kinder to myself, more compassionate to myself, and thus in my relationships with other people. So as the result of bringing love and joy into the hearts of many children and children of all ages, you've given so freely from yourself. So we actually have two versions of this. We actually have a little tiny Gene Lamp. We've got a much bigger one, but of course this leads to one of our favorite segments in the children's book spotlight series, 3 wishes. See how it becomes a little bit bigger? Yep, there we go. I just realized normally, the genie lamp's on the other side of my office, but I have this little one, but it's still about the intentionality behind it. So you are being given 3 wishes, Kay. Now they can be for yourself, they can be for your family, they can be for the children of the world. Some people wish for world peace. Some people wish for, there's been so many people wishing for things over the course of these past several years here, especially on the children's book spotlight series. But as we always like to say, the old school expression is be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. But now it's like with, the energy being very potent and manifestation being at an all-time high right now, I like to really believe that, be careful what you ask for because there's a greater likelihood that you are going to get it. So you are being given 3 wishes. What will those 3 wishes be?
Okay, you're putting me on the spot here. Number 1, I think, would be for my books to reach the 4 corners of the earth, to get them published into all the different languages, the major languages, because at the moment they're only in English. So that would be my wish, so that everyone, like I said, the parents would have a helping hand, and the kids would also learn something from it. That's wish number 1. Number 2, I think, would be a wish for the end of this pandemic. It's been tough, but we've all pulled together. There has been, like you said, silver linings, but the thing is, I'll just wish for an end to all of it, because we have lost several good people as well due to the pandemic, and I have also lost some people close to me. So I just wish for an end to that. Number 3, I think number 3 would just be to wish all my kids a bright future, my children, and for my wife and my mom and the rest of my family to just to fulfill all their dreams. That would be my wish.
Those are beautiful wishes, and thank you very much for sharing those. Again, our featured guest, K.A. Mulenga, is sharing these children's books that have positive messages, that are entertaining us, they're making us laugh. And again, think about it. How many children's books are there about whales and cheetahs and elephants and donkeys, right? Again, you can head on over to Kay's official website, kamulenga.com. You can subscribe as well to his official newsletter, by the way. When doing so, you receive a free ebook, like free stuff. That's super amazing in itself, right? You can stay connected with KA via any of his social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have those in the description below. You can, of course, head on over to Amazon.com, leave a 5-star review if you feel guided to do so, as that is one of the many ways that you can support KA in the process. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 121 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series. We've all had fun. 4 hands up. It's a lot of amens and hallelujahs in the process. We see a lot of happy faces here on screen as well, too. This has been such a wonderful trolley step, and there's many, many more to go, not only throughout the 7-year anniversary celebration of Empowered Publicity, but the back to school season is just around the corner. and the upcoming holiday season. So if you are a children's author, if you are a children's illustrator, and you would like to share your inspiring story here on the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series, if you would like to be a featured guest on the program and to be able to join the Empowered Publicity family, you can head on over to our official website at empoweredpublicity.com. You can stay connected with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen, and reach out as well too. Facebook and Instagram at Empowered Publicity, and Twitter at Empowered_PR. We like to be able to give two little tips of the cap. One, to one of our favorite neighbors in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You remember him, you loved him as Mr. McFeely on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know we love him as David Newell each and every month on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. David and I, we deliver brand new reviews from the newest heartfelt children's books from the shining stars in the KidLit community. So if you are interested in having your brand new children's book be reviewed by David and I in the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, you can head on over to our official website, empoweredpublicity.com, or any of our social media platforms as well. Another little tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors in San Diego, California, Laura Kavanaugh, the host and executive producer of San Diego Living, which is the official home for Empowering Reads for Kids, which is where Laura and I gather together once a month and we dive into the pages of the newest children's books from the shining stars in the KidLit community, and we share them with children, parents, families, educators all across San Diego, California. If you would like to have your brand new children's book be featured on Empowering Reads for Kids, you can connect with us via our official website, empoweredpublicity.com, or any of our social media platforms as well. And if you're interested in learning more on how we can be of service to you in our 8th year at Empowered Publicity, PR from the Heart, you can, of course, schedule your courtesy discovery call by heading on over to our official website at empoweredpublicity.com. If you're interested in facilitating a book media tour in a city of your choosing, a featured television interview in one of the top television markets in the United States, and so much more. Again, we look forward to seeing how we can be of service to many of you. One more time, you can head on over to K.A. Mulenga's official website, kamulenga.com. You can purchase your copies of Elaine the Elephant, Chuck the Cheetah, Will and His Best Friend Whale, and his nearly 12 other children's books. There's nearly a dozen to choose from. The ebook varieties are available. The softcover copies are available. While you're at his official website, kamulenga.com, you can subscribe to his official newsletter and receive a free ebook in the process. We hear the trolley. You know what happens when we hear the trolley? It means that it's time to go, but there is more magic, there is more miracles, and there are more trolley stops to come here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of Empowered Publicity throughout the course of these past 7 years. We want to thank you for the support that you are showing for children's authors and for children's illustrators all across the country and all around the world. And above all else, we want to thank you for helping to walk home the children of the world. So for K.A. Mulenga, for myself, John Masiulionis, before we part, remember our favorite neighbor, one of our favorite neighbors, Mr. Rogers. He always reminded us that we're perfect, we're whole, we're healthy, we're complete, we're loved, we're special, just the way that we are, right? He always liked to say 143. That was his way of saying, I love you. Well, we like to say here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, 243. There are 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. That means that we love you. So again, for K.A. Mulenga, for myself, John Masiulionis, we will see all of you once again very soon for our next magical trolley stop here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, which will be episode number 122. 122. I like that number sequence. But until then, thank you for helping to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, neighbors, and of course, our shining stars. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you once again very soon.
Bye.